Have you ever wondered how music could reshape history itself? In the 1970s, artists like Led Zeppelin with their hard-hitting riffs and Marvin Gaye with his soulful cries proved to be equally powerful forces for change. These musicians turned songs into tools for social and cultural shifts, shaping views on war and identity. Their sounds built communities and fueled rebellion. Stick around as we look at the 70s musicians who changed music and history forever. Let's kick things off with a band that roared into the 1970s, shaking the very foundation of music. Led Zeppelin became the driving force behind hard rock's explosion, delivering a sound that matched the raw energy of a restless generation. Their heavy, electric style was a jolt, filling a need for something loud and unapologetic during changing times. Their music wasn't just about volume. It carried a distinct edge with Jimmy Page's pioneering phased guitar effects and John Bonham's thunderous drums, creating a heavier texture that stood out against the softer tunes of the era. Take Whole Lotta Love from 1969, a track that hit the top 10 and kept dominating airwaves into the 70s with its gritty power. Then there's Stairway to Heaven from 1971, starting slow and building into an emotional powerhouse, mixing depth with strength. Their live shows were something else, often stretching for hours with improvisational jams. These performances set a new standard for showmanship and kept audiences hooked. Led Zeppelin also shifted the focus from singles to full albums, giving artists more control and changing how the industry worked. They didn't just play music, they laid the groundwork for hard rock and heavy metal, offering a voice for frustration and defiance. But how did this raw power translate into a broader cultural statement beyond concerts? Let's find out with our next artist, who took music to a completely different realm of thought and emotion. But before that, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Can music make you question the very fabric of reality? Pink Floyd did exactly that in the 1970s, crafting albums that reached into the depths of the human mind. While many artists of the time leaned into funk or hard rock trends, Pink Floyd took a unique path by releasing conceptual LPs that tackled alienation and mental health. Their soundscapes explored heavy themes like madness and the pressures of modern life, pulling listeners into uncharted emotional territory. Their work had an unsettling power that hit hard. Albums like The Dark Side of the Moon from 1973, which spent over 900 weeks on the Billboard charts, showed their massive cultural reach. Tracks like Money used sharp lyrics and eerie sounds to call out greed. Then there's The Wall from 1979, where Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 became an anthem against oppressive schooling with its bold cry against conformity. Even moments like Claire Torrey's improvised vocals on The Great Gig in the Sky captured raw emotion, reflecting on mortality in a way that felt hauntingly personal. Pink Floyd didn't just make music, they set a new bar for progressive rock, teaching other artists to weave big ideas into their work. They showed that rock could be a mirror to society's deepest anxieties, not just a soundtrack for rebellion. Now, let's turn to a group that brought a completely fresh kind of energy to the stage. What if a single track could shatter every expectation of rock? Queen, under Freddie Mercury's fearless lead, redefined the genre in the 1970s with a style that broke all the rules. While many bands stuck to straightforward riffs, Queen fused opera, glam, and hard rock into a sound that grabbed attention. Their music wasn't just different, it demanded you listen. Their daring paid off in ways that shook the industry. Bohemian Rhapsody from 1975, a 6-minute masterpiece blending ballad, opera, and hard rock, rewrote what a song could be. It became a defining piece in rock history. Then, We Will Rock You from 1977 had crowds stomping in sync, while We Are the Champions turned into a global sports anthem, reaching far beyond rock fans. Freddie Mercury's androgynous costumes in the glam era also pushed gender boundaries, challenging rigid norms of the time. Mercury's bold presence went deeper than performance. He nudged society to rethink identity, showing it was fine to stand out. It wasn't just about the music, it was a visual and emotional force that struck hard. Queen set a new standard for showmanship in rock, proving live shows could be as complex as they were thrilling. Queen's flamboyance changed more than fashion. How did their theatrical approach redefine what a rock show could be? Let's shift now to a sound that carried a profound message of struggle and hope. Can a melody carry the weight of a nation's pain?
I just called to say.
Stevie Wonder emerged as a soulful voice of change in the 1970s, documenting the Black experience with unflinching honesty. During his classic period from 1971 to 1976, he released tracks that became a mirror to America's struggles, capturing the raw realities of a country grappling with racial inequality. His music wasn't just easy on the ears, it hit with truth. Songs like Livin' for the City from 1973 confronted systemic racism head-on, telling the grim story of a Black family's hardship amid poverty and injustice. Then there's Superstition from 1972, where his use of synthesizers expanded R&B's sonic palette, blending a rock groove that bridged racial audiences and reshaped the genre's sound. His innovative approach made soul resonate with more listeners than ever before. Stevie's impact went beyond the studio. He spearheaded the campaign to make Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a federal holiday and spoke out against apartheid in South Africa, intertwining his music with real-world action. His songs didn't just play, they raised awareness and pushed for justice. Stevie Wonder didn't just sing about change, he engineered the sound and led the movement that made soul music a force for social justice. His work captured history in every note. Now, let's turn to another artist who used soul to challenge the status quo in a powerful way. Can a single album redefine a genre's purpose? Marvin Gaye's work in the early 1970s turned soul into a cry for change with What's Going On, widely considered one of the greatest albums of all time. While Motown focused on safe, catchy hits, Gaye took a stand. He poured his heart into songs about war and injustice, framing the anti-war message through a returning veteran's perspective to make it intimate and universal. His music spoke to real pain during a turbulent era in America. Motown resisted this direction initially. Berry Gordy called the title track the worst thing I ever heard in my life. But Gaye insisted, even going on strike to get his vision out. His 1971 album, What's Going On, proved him right. The title track tackled the Vietnam War and racial unfairness with raw power. Mercy Mercy Me raised environmental awareness years before it was a mainstream concern. The Inner City Blues, Make Me Wanna Holler, exposed the harsh realities of poor urban life, highlighting high taxes and neglect. This album reshaped Motown forever. By forcing Motown to embrace social commentary, Marvin Gaye proved that soul music could lead national conversations, not just fill dance floors. His voice became vital for those often ignored. Now, let's shift to a band whose music reflected a different side of the American story during those same challenging years.
I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven or this could be.
Have you ever noticed a song that seemed to echo a nation's hidden doubts? The Eagles captured 1970s America with a sound that reflected a fading dream. In the post-Watergate era of skepticism, after Vietnam's scars, their music tapped into a growing unease about the country's core values. It wasn't just a tune, it carried the weight of a society questioning its own ideals. Their seamless country rock blend masked lyrics about disillusionment and moral decay. The Eagles painted a stark image of excess and lost hope that struck a chord. You could hear it in Hotel California from 1976, often seen as an allegory for American decadence and burnout. Don Henley described it as a journey for innocence to experience and a commentary on America itself. Then there's Take It Easy from 1972, an anthem for Southern California's laid-back lifestyle, hinting at an empty kind of freedom. Their sound became tied to Los Angeles, a city of promise and peril. The album, Hotel California, sold over 16 million copies worldwide, showing how deeply it resonated with a skeptical public. Their lyrics weren't just words, they were warnings about where society was headed. The Eagles turned rock into a mirror, exposing the dark side of the American dream. How did this laid-back sound shape Americans' view of the dream they'd chased? Let's move to an artist who brought a completely different kind of energy to the stage. What happens when a performer bursts onto the scene with undeniable charisma? Elton John's 1970 Troubadour debut in Los Angeles created instant buzz among stars like Carole King and Neil Diamond, marking the start of his rise as a pop icon. In the 1970s, while gritty rock often took center stage, John blended pop with glam, bringing vibrant energy to every performance. His music mixed R&B and Broadway influences, offering fans both fun and genuine emotion. His bold style turned heads. With signature oversized glasses, feather boas, and sequin jumpsuits, he became a hallmark of glam rock showmanship. Whether dressed as the Statue of Liberty or Donald Duck, his daring looks matched the flair of his songs and drew fans craving something fresh. It wasn't just a look, it was a statement of individuality. His songs carried weight, too. Your Song from 1970, co-written with Bernie Taupin, became his first top 10 hit in the U.S., touching listeners with its simple, heartfelt lyrics. Then Rocket Man in 1972 painted a lonely astronaut's tale, capturing feelings of isolation. These tracks reached wide audiences with their varied tones. His live shows were pure spectacle, with wild costumes and piano acrobatics, like kicking away his stool. He revved up crowds. His influence extended beyond music, later partnering with Billie Jean King and advocating for equal rights. Elton John's mix of spectacle and sincerity set a new standard. What happens when artists channel this freedom into raw, intense emotion? Let's find out next. Can music channel raw, unfiltered anger? Black Sabbath forged heavy metal in the 1970s, giving a voice to life's darker edges. Formed in industrial Birmingham, their working-class roots shaped a bleak worldview that clashed with the era's optimism. While many leaned into flower power ideals, Sabbath's morbid anti-war themes, like those in War Pigs, stood as a stark contrast. Their heavy riffs and grim lyrics became an outlet for working-class youth facing factory jobs and uncertain futures. Their sound hit with brutal force. Albums like Black Sabbath and Paranoid from 1970 carried a harsh weight, rejecting the lighter trends of the time. Paranoid spent 97 weeks on the UK charts, showing its massive pull. War Pigs slammed warmongering politicians, while Iron Man painted a haunting tale of a broken figure in a dystopian world. These weren't just tracks, they questioned war and despair head-on. Beyond music, Black Sabbath built a subculture for kids who felt defiant or lost. It became a tight-knit group that pushed against authority, much like how James Brown's funky drummer later influenced hip-hop's own rebellious communities. Sabbath offered a space to challenge the status quo. Black Sabbath didn't just play songs, they created heavy metal and a lasting movement. How did this darkest of sounds give rise to a new musical tribe? Next, we'll meet the chameleon who rewrote identity itself. What if an artist could transform their very essence with every performance? David Bowie became the ultimate chameleon of identity in the 1970s, challenging every norm with his ever-shifting personas. From Ziggy Stardust to the Thin White Duke, he fused glam rock and art pop to probe deep questions about who we are. His unique look, partly shaped by pupil dilation from a schoolyard fight, added to his striking androgynous image. His gender-fluid style wasn't just fresh, it stunned many. In a time when homosexuality was barely legal in Britain, Bowie's public coming out as bisexual was a deliberate political act that empowered youth. His androgynous Ziggy Stardust persona broke rigid rules about how men and women should appear or behave. The album spoke to disillusioned youth by blending glam with science fiction, making waves with bold theatricality. His music packed powerful messages. Starman from 1972 introduced a hopeful alien savior, inspiring fans who felt out of place. Then Fame from 1975, co-written with John Lennon, critiqued the dark side of celebrity with sharp insight. These songs resonated widely, sparking thoughts on larger themes. His fearless approach fueled a movement, showing young people they could define themselves. Bowie proved music could be a living story. Now, let's turn to a group who poured their personal struggles into songs that touched everyone's heart. Can personal pain forge music that lasts forever?
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Fleetwood Mac turned their 1970s turmoil into tracks that spoke to everyone's heartaches. Amid breakups and chaos, they created Rumors in 1977, an album raw with emotion. It sold over 40 million copies worldwide, becoming one of the best-selling records ever. Stevie Nicks burned a hole in her septum from cocaine use, and Jeremy Spencer abruptly left to join a cult, drama that fueled their tense recording sessions. Their lyrics laid bare the hurt. Every track felt like a personal confession, exposing pain in an era when emotions were often hidden. Stevie Nicks' Dreams offered a soft take on loss, becoming their only U.S. #1 single. Lindsey Buckingham's Go Your Own Way from 1976 carried a bitter edge with lines like "Packing up, shacking up is all you want to do," which Nicks resented but couldn't alter. The chain combined Nicks and Buckingham's vocals in a call and response, symbolizing unity among discord. Band members sent pointed lyrics to each other to process their breakups, making the album a real-time diary. Rumors became a lifeline for those wrestling with love's messy side. It spoke to a generation facing relationship struggles, almost like shared therapy. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors turned private heartbreak into public connection, proving that raw honesty could become a unifying force. Let's step back now and reflect on the bigger picture these artists painted together. From Led Zeppelin's Fierce Rebellion to Fleetwood Mac's Raw Emotion, their music didn't just play, it reshaped views on war, identity, and society. Each used their songs as activism, whether through Stevie Wonder's civil rights campaigns or Black Sabbath's anti-war protests. Which artist surprised you most as an agent of change? Drop your thoughts below. Which 1970s song changed your perspective on the world, and why? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more music history.